So this insanely disturbing fake video was shown at a conference of you-know-who supporters that was held at one of you-know-who's Miami resorts, and that superimposed his face onto a scene from the movie Kingsman, The Secret Service, and shows him violently killing his rivals like the Clintons, Barack Obama, Maxine Waters, John McCain. Sarah Sanders and Jr. were there at the event, but they said they weren't aware of the video, and the White House released a statement saying that the guy who lives there has condemned it. Now, he didn't come out and say it. Somebody said that he condemned it, okay? With all the Twitter stuff he does, he couldn't come out and condemn it himself. He had someone else do it. The question is, why would somebody put this together, and who thought this was okay to show to anybody?
Yeah.
Because it's horrific.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Don't watch it, by the way. There are places you can... It was hard for me to find it. When I did, I regretted seeing just even a... It's vile. It is one of the most disgusting things I've seen.
I mean, it's...
Yeah, it takes place in
It is a horrific...
Well, I mean, yeah, part of this is, and I've been getting into it on Twitter this morning with people over this, is that people are saying this is just free speech, you're being a snowflake, you're so sensitive. First of all, you're talking about sitting senators, and you're talking about Congress people, Maxine Waters, Mitt Romney, Adam Schiff, Bernie Sanders, President Obama, the Clintons, my father, you can't kill him again, but whatever, Rachel Maddow, Black Lives Matter, these are real people. And so I always thought that if you, in the same way that if you make a threat against someone in office, I don't understand how this video is any different. Sarah Sanders, Don Jr., and the governor of Florida, by the way, Ron DeSantis, was at this event. I don't understand where we are culturally, where entertainment is showing doctored videos of killing fellow members of Congress and people you're working with every day. And anyone who wants to talk to me about free speech, I think as all of you know, I mean, I wanted to come on here and talk about the Joker a few weeks ago, but we never got to it. I am not someone who thinks that we can't have content in entertainment and writing, and that talking about violence is important, but this is an entirely different thing when you're using pictures of actual people who are still alive. And how easy for all of you judging me that I'm offended and upset by the video. You try doing this when some member of your family is continued to have this happen over and over and over again. And it doesn't seem to matter to anybody in Trump world whatsoever. And you conservatives on Twitter, if this were the opposite and it happened in an Obama event, you'd be screaming bloody murder.
Oh, but wait a minute. Hold on. It has happened, and everybody screamed bloody murder. No one liked it when Kathy Griffin did her thing. What is the difference between these things? See, either it works for the goose and then it works for the gander. If you're upset by it, this should be so insane to you. This is 2019.
But it seems to me that it would be illegal.
You look very good. You look very like, you know, sorry, I just looked over.
On a positive note today.
Thank you. I tried to do a special. My husband and my cousin is in the audience. My cousin's celebrating his 50th birthday.
I didn't even realize.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. My first cousin, we were actually raised as siblings. It's his 50th birthday.
Right. Good to see you. I knew So go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
I think what, for me, this would be illegal because, you know, wouldn't that tend to incite violence against these particular
if
politicians?
Something happens to one of these people because of this, and by the way, Steve Scalise was shot by someone, by a complete radical, crazy person and almost died. This does happen. So the idea that we're just going to be casual about it and, oh, you're just being a snowflake, you're being sensitive. These are real people. I'm sure Maxine Waters' family feels the same way I do right now.
And Trump actually retweeted a very similar type of video. I think it was in 2007 when he was body slamming and punching
CNN reporter.
There was an image of a CNN logo, was like superimposed on it. And then we know that there was that man that had these death threats against people at CNN.
The bomb threat.
He also hit a golf ball at Hillary's head in one of his tweets as well. Here's what I don't understand, though.
That's not the same thing as shooting people with Glocks.
But the president himself tweeted that video.
I'm just saying the idea that it starts at the top. That's what we always say. He may not have seen this video or knew, but someone approved this video to be shown. You can't just put the video on your iPhone and have it show on a projector. Like, it went through a chain somewhere at Mar-a-Lago. And if you are the president right now, you tweet...
It was a pro-Trump event at the Doral, Miami.
Okay, but if you are tweeting all day long and you can tweet about Dancing with the Stars, it is now 11 a.m. on the East Coast. We have not we have not read a tweet yet from the president denouncing this, saying that this is vile. And that's why I say, where is the leadership? Because I'm just grateful my kids are too young to understand what's going on.
But it's not, it's not even just about that, because I'm old enough to understand it, and everyone here is old enough to understand it. I think we're all sick of this. And again, it's a cultural issue. It's okay to show videos of a doctored video of our president shooting other politicians
in a church.
In a pro-Trump event with Sarah Sanders, Don Jr., and the governor of Florida present. I don't care if you saw it, you didn't see it. No event I'm going to that would ever be accepted. So I don't care about kids growing up. I care about the I mean, I do, but I care about the president right now. Because what about the rest of us who are processing this? Is it violent?
And his supporters?
It's disturbing?
Do his supporters continue to support this kind of
this is why
I got into it this morning with a conservative writer about this.
Yeah, this is what conservatives have to remember. If you don't think this is okay, that has to be the position you come from. Yeah. You can be a conservative and say, this is never okay. This is about human connection. We don't want anybody thinking this is a good idea. That's why people came down so hard on Kathy Griffin. That's why people came down so hard in all the other iterations where someone has
there was a play where Julius Caesar was dressed like President Trump and he was murdered on stage. I come out against that as well. I think murdering of all politicians in any form is violent and could inspire violence. And I don't say that about movies. I don't say that about cartoons. But you're talking about actual real life people and sitting members of
inciting violence against living people.
Yes, it is.
That
is
problematic here.
And he knows, because this is, you know, this is why people have such a hard time. This has been his MO. He has said, it's okay, go ahead and do that. Well, you know, either we stand up for it or we let it happen. If this is okay with you, if this is what you want the guy who's supposed to be leading your country to be doing, keep them in there here.
And these people have extra security right now.
Oh, yeah, they should.
I mean, all the people here should have extra security right now who's been in this video.
We'll be right back.
One of the most celebrated musical geniuses on the planet, Venezuela's Spanish conductor and violinist, Gustavo Dudamel. Born in Barquisimeto, Venezuela. I hope I said that right, but if I didn't, somebody will tell me. He began playing the violin at 10, studying conducting in his early teens, and was soon winning competitions around the world. As a conductor, he led concerts at the Vatican for the Pope and at the funeral of Venezuelan leader Hugo Chavez, before becoming musical director of the Los Angeles Philharmonic in 2009. He won far too many awards to list, and also conducted the opening and closing titles to Star Wars 7, The Force Awakens, performed alongside Beyonce, Bruno Mars, and Coldplay in that 2016 Super Bowl. He just this year received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Wow. He's an incredible musician, has done things for young kids all over the world. He is one of the top flight people on the planet. This is a great young man, and I'm thrilled that we're celebrating him today.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we have to bring you like a really stupid piece of news, because this is so unnecessary. So a Fort Worth, Texas police officer is on administrative leave after he shot and killed 28-year-old Tanya Jefferson through the window of her own home while she was babysitting her nephew. Now, I don't understand why the training is so bad that people forget to say, hey, put your hands up, I'm a law officer. Because that's what, you know, he was supposed to do. Put your hands up in the name of the law. Identify yourself. But then I look and I see Texas is going crazy because they walked a young man who had some mental issues down the street between two police officers on horseback with his hands tied. And then, of course, we know about
in 2019?
Yeah. About a couple of months ago. It is the
Gene who was shot eating ice cream in his own apartment.
Ice cream on his. So I have to assume that something is missing in Texas.
Well, I just don't know what's going on with de-escalation training. Like, that would be my first question for these police officers, because in most situations like this, at least militarily, you're trying to de-escalate so it doesn't resort to violence. And he just shot a woman playing video games with her nephew in her home. I don't understand it.
What's strange is that he was 8 years old, her nephew. Her neighbor called because their front door was open. Her neighbor was concerned for her welfare, and the police officer goes in her backyard and doesn't announce that he's a police officer, and she peers out of the window because she hears what could be an intruder in her backyard, and he shoots her through the window. And I mean, I think, you know,
doesn't identify himself.
And doesn't identify himself as a police officer. I mean, you can't, as if you're black, you can't eat ice cream in your own home. You can't go to Starbucks. You can't barbecue while black. Now you can't, you know, be with your video, playing videos with your nephew in your own home. Why are black people disproportionately shot 4 times more than white people in these United States of America? I don't understand.
What I would like to suggest, because we're going to talk about this more, but we have such a big show coming up that we're going to get through it. But yes, I know. I know. But what we want to say is that this is a detriment to everybody.
Yeah.
If it can happen to black people, it can happen to Asian people and white people and men and women. Really shocking and hard claims about how far people went to silence him, from Weinstein hiring ex-Mossad agents to spy on him, to his own employers at NBC News telling him to stop his investigation. We got to warn you, viewers, this is really mature subject matter. So if you have kids at home, now's the time to get them out the room.
Yeah.
We give you a couple of beats. All right. Welcome back, RonanFarrow.
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
And for consistently at this table tackling those hard subjects.
Thank you.
I respect the hell out of that.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, I think we've all just been engulfed in this, and we got an early copy, so thank you for trusting us. First, I just want to thank you on behalf of all women in media. You're making it safer for us.
Thank you,
because
Meghan.
it has been open season, and Abby and I came from Fox. It's been open season for a really long time, and I know me and every woman I've talked to in this industry is really, really sick of it. So I just want to start, you're very brave.
It means so much, and the people who are brave in this book are the sources. And ultimately, Whoopi's right, there's a lot of dark stuff in this book, but also it is again and again, I hope you guys found this, a hopeful story about brave people saying enough.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot to get to, but let's start with the allegations about Matt Lauer. It made a lot of news last week. NBC claims Lauer was fired in 2017 for, quote, inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. But in the book, you write that the alleged victim, Brooke Neville's allegations are much more disturbing. I found them much more disturbing. She says she was raped. What does Neville say happened that night? And for me, I keep saying I've been done with Matt Lauer since the way he treated Ann Curry. So.
And Ann Curry is incredibly brave in this book and speaks out about having actually reported another incident involving Matt, involving another colleague years before that firing. So, you know, this is about more than any one person, any one allegation, as serious as they are. This is about how systems of silencing and protecting, sometimes enshrined in corporate and legal practices at a company, shut people up, and maybe that risks other people getting hurt. For Brooke Neville's, you're absolutely right. This was described in one way initially, and we talk in the book about how people were calling it an affair. There's significant evidence in the book that it was actually actively characterized in the press as an affair at the behest of some people at NBC. And as recently as last week, they were still doing that. This was not an affair, what she alleges. Now, the book is incredibly carefully fact-checked. It's very fair to Matt Lauer. Matt Lauer's thinking is all in there. But what she claims is that she said no to a very brutal and violent act and was injured by it. And you know, it's been weaponized against her that, as in so many cases of sexual violence, she was then in a situation where she's working with this guy and she couldn't, in her description, get away from him, and there were other encounters that happened afterwards. But she has been clear in saying that is not an affair. that was her struggling to get out of a toxic situation with someone who had previously attacked her.
Well, let me ask you this, because Matt Lauer wrote a response letter, and he calls the account categorically false. He says that the sexual encounter with Brooke, like all of his relationships, was completely consensual. He also says that she was an enthusiastic and willing partner. He says at no time did she behave in a way that made it appear she was incapable of consent. He suggests she's lying about him in an effort to sell a book. And he also goes on to say that all of these women he's had affairs with have abandoned shared responsibility. What is your response to that?
I will let that statement stand on its own and only say that, as with everything else I report on, Matt Lauer was given a very fair opportunity for fact-checking and comment, and his thinking and many of the ideas you conveyed there are in the book loud and clear. I'm confident in the reporting in the book. I'm confident in the fact-checking, and I will let the facts stand on their own. Brooke Neville's claims checked out. NBC felt they checked out, and they fired him over it. And I think that it represents an ongoing cover-up culture that we see way beyond NBC, that it has been so mischaracterized, and she has been so silenced, and in fact was paid 7 figures this year to ensure that she can never speak about NBC executives and what they did or didn't know about this.
But they say that they didn't know about Matt Lauer's
Here's what they actually say,
behavior
because
at all.
You claim that NBC had multiple secret settlements and non-disclosures with women who alleged misconduct from Lauer years before this incident. But NBC, they put out a statement today calling this, quote, false. They say the agreements you seem to be referring to involve employees who made no complaint to management and whose department agreements or departure agreements were unrelated to Lauer and completely routine. They add, we have no secrets. We've got nothing to hide. Do you have proof?
There is proof and a paper trail in this book. And here's the thing. The nature of secret sexual harassment settlements employed by Harvey Weinstein, employed by NBC, employed by a lot of the institutions in this book, is that they don't say, here's a payout so you don't talk about Matt Lauer and these specific things he did to you. The nature is, we know legally, it's euphemistic. It's a payout for silence. It bans them from talking about the company and what it knew. It's designed to protect executives. But we did the reporting and found that just about everyone involved in all these transactions said this was explicitly designed to shut up women with allegations about sexual harassment. And here again, the risk there is if companies continue to silence people, predators stay at companies, and more people potentially get hurt.
Also in that email, it was blast out to the employees this morning at NBC. I think they would rather you not be speaking anymore. Some of these executives, they say that you have an axe to grind against NBC News. You had a show that was canceled there, that you are angry with them. How do you respond?
Not even slightly. The book is very clear about the fact that I had friendly relationships with all these people outside of the killing of the Weinstein story, thought only highly of them. And the only reason that I'm not there now is because it became increasingly clear to me after all this went down that there was a much bigger story, that this was more than just the killing of one story. This was a pattern of concealment, and source after source came to me saying they had been abused in this corporate context and that there were systems designed to cover it up. Again, this is important in our profession, in the media. I did similar reporting on CBS, and by the way, similar claims there, axe to grind, smear campaign ahead of time. Every story I do, I get this sort of stuff.
Our shows were canceled at the same time.
They were.
So that's something we can always relate to.
But I think you would agree, too, that, you know, I kept working for years after there. There's clearly no axe to grind.
You have a Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
I think we're done with that. You have a Pulitzer Prize.
But you know what? One of the big questions.
Well, and also to Meghan's point,
journalist.
You know, there's this conversation that they're attempting to focus things on, which is, what did I have and when?
Well, and that's my question, because they're basically saying that you're reporting, that they refused to run your reporting on Harvey Weinstein because your story wasn't ready. They also said that you had no accuser willing to have their name used on the record at that point, but you say that they ordered you to stop the investigation.
So look, the headline here is, I took that same reporting they're talking about and took it across the street to the New Yorker, and a few weeks later, we did have this Pulitzer Prize-winning reporting that, thank God, thanks to the bravery of sources, really sparked a huge impact. I think the reporting is unimpeachable and stands on its own. It is actually an outright lie to say that there weren't named women. There were 3 named women during the time that the story was at NBC. No draft had fewer than 2 women, and we had a recording, a police recording of him admitting to crimes. So I think the reporting stands on its own, but it is misdirection to make the conversation about that. The conversation is about the fact that they ordered a stop to so much as a single phone call about the story. This book answers why.
Wow.
You know, now I know you want